I know what you're thinking. How can I basically make a short and a trailer for a Undertale fan game without talking about a Undertale game at all? Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be talking about Undertale and Deltarune today. Sit back and relax and enjoy the show. First, in Undertale, we were given a backstory of how Undertale started. Long ago, two races ruled over the earth, humans and monsters. One day, war broke out between the two races. After a long battle, the humans were victorious and did sealed the monsters in the underground. Which sounds interesting, but there was a secondary lore in the game revolving W.D Gaster. But nobody ever heard or saw of him in the Undertale universe. However, the lore with Gaster basically ties up both Undertale and Deltarune apparently. And that would be entry number 17. However, nobody knew what these symbols meant till you actually translate them. And Toby decided to have a secondary lore in Undertale just to reference Deltarune. We will get back to that in a moment. Entry number 17 translates to this: darker, darker, yet darker. The darkness keeps growing, the shadow cutting deeper. Photon readings negative. This next experiment seems very, very interesting. What do you two think? The translated image that I grabbed was basically has the "what do you two think" highlighted in yellow. And I'm glad it does, because I'm about to make this theory here. Back in Deltarune Chapter 1, the soul is the player while Chris is the vessel. In the end of Deltarune Chapter 1, Chris tears out the soul and puts it into a cage. And that explains the whole "don't you two agree" that Gaster mentioned. Another theory I had was that it could mean that Deltarune was just all a experiment. Apart from the "don't you two agree," there was the phrase that is darker, darker, yet darker. Could be representing the dark fountains, or could be representing the dark worlds. It's an interesting hypothesis, but I didn't get to mention this last thing. Deltarune Chapter 4. Why Chapter 4 specifically? This behemoth. Let's get things straight. The Titans in Deltarune are basically built with darkness and darkness alone. And the only way to beat them is if light has been shined upon them. With the attacks, the Titan itself to lower its defenses, which I find to be pretty neat and really lore-based. Even according to Ralsei, the Titan generates once the Dark Fountain generates enough darkness to basically create that. And as the lore is mentioned, it is a manifestation of the fear of dark, which forms when too many Dark Fountains have been generated. That could be the reference to entry number 17 in Undertale, meaning one thing: Deltarune is just that, Gaster's experiment, laying dormant, watching it all happen. But no one knows that for sure yet. We can even piece this one by the first version of the Deltarune website. First version of the website gave us a little install. The install was known as the survey program. The install was called that before Undertale became a name. Upon opening the survey program, the window changes from survey program to contact. I thought it was going to be the same thing once I tested it on my first version of Deltarune. It was not the case. Deltarune Chapter 1 was supposed to be a continuation of Undertale and not left at some cliffhanger. However, Toby had a huge lore for Gaster already planned at Undertale, and the result was Deltarune. Everything makes sense once you add up everything from Undertale's own game files, secrets, and so forth, and compare it to Deltarune of today. First, we had abc123.ogg, which part of it is the voice of Gaster and was used in Deltarune's intro sequence that we know from Chapter 1. Then we got entry number 17, which, however, Gaster had been telling us about the darkness. Then, lastly, the Warring Knight, which would be my last theory, which the Warring Knight would represent the shadows cutting deeper in the entry 17. Adding all of that together, and that would make a whole bunch of sense. In the near future, I do hope that Toby does come out with an answer for all of these questions that we do have. But right now, it all remains a mystery. This is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy. If you did, please consider smashing that like button. Also note that 48.8% of you guys who watch my videos are not subscribed, so please hit that subscribe button. It's free, and you can stay up to date on future videos. I'll catch you guys around soon. Thanks for watching.